Hi there, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Vidhi and I talk about all things beauty. And I'm glad you're joining me today because today I'm going to be comparing and contrasting the Chanel Le Beige water tint with the CoverGirl water tint. Now, both of these are quite similar looking, I would say, in terms of the texture and even the outcome to a certain extent. But there are certain differences that I'm hoping to capture in today's video. The Chanel water tint came out, I would like to say, about 3 or 4 years ago now. And the idea of both of them is that they have these pigment particles that are suspended in sort of a serum or an essence kind of a vehicle, that when you basically take it onto a brush or a beauty blender or directly put it onto your skin, the pigment break apart and provide you a little bit of coverage with the hydration of a serum or an essence. They're both skin tints, they don't have a ton of coverage. They're very, very similar, I have to say that, but they're also different in certain aspects. I will say that I definitely have a clear preference for one of them over the other, and I'd like to know what you guys think. So, I guess I'll start with telling you a little bit about my skin. So, my skin type is combination oily. I do have the occasional dry patches because I am a retinoid user, and so I tend to get a little bit of dry patches around my chin and near my nose. But for the most part, my skin is combination oily. And the kind of foundations that I prefer usually are more water based, lighter coverage, natural looking, because I just prefer to have a little bit of evening of my skin. And if really I need additional coverage, I go in with a concealer wherever needed. So this category of skin tints is definitely my preferred pick for foundations, especially for everyday use. Oh, and by the way, I have used both of these on my face today. I have one on one side and the other one on the other side. I'm gonna hold off till the end before telling you which one is on which side. So let's see if you can guess. Let's start at the basics for them. In terms of price, there's obviously a very clear difference. The Chanel Le Beige retails for about 87 Canadian dollars, whereas the CoverGirl water tint retails for about 29 Canadian dollars. So that's a pretty dramatic difference in terms of the price point for the two. Sorry if I keep looking down. It's because I have my notes right here and I want to make sure I give you all the information that I've compiled. In terms of volume, you get the same amount of product for both of them. You get 30 ml for both of them. In terms of shades, both of these come in 8 shades each. Now, while that's not really comprehensive and likely doesn't cover absolutely every skin tone out there, it does cover a wide range of skin tones, I have to say. And more importantly, because these are skin tints, they aren't exactly high coverage. It's more likely that even if it's a shade or two off, it will still work for you. So you don't really need your exact shade match for this. My preferred way of application in general for foundations is always a brush. So that's something to keep in mind. That's how I've used both of these. And I have used the Chanel for, I want to say, this for at least 2 years now. So I have used it occasionally over time. The CoverGirl I've been using for about 2 weeks. I always use it in the daytime, usually as my work foundation. And so the skincare that I use under it is typically a vitamin C serum, a moisturizer, and a sunscreen. I do prefer lotion type sunscreens, the ones that are usually found in the Korean market, so not very silicone heavy. So again, that's something to keep in mind. That's the base I will be comparing these two on. So now that we have the basics covered, let's actually get into the meat. Right off the bat, both of them so similar to one another. You absolutely don't need both. I bought both of them because this is the kind of foundation I always gravitate towards, and B, for research, right? It's all in the name of research. So in terms of coverage, I have to say the CoverGirl has a touch more coverage than the Chanel. Both again are very minimal coverage. So if you're really looking for something that can actually cover up your dark spots or acne or texture, these are not the ones you want to go towards. These are more just a wash of color, just a little bit of evening out of the skin tone. Now next, in terms of finish, I have to say that the Chanel is a little bit more glowy. CoverGirl tends to be more natural finish. Definitely not matte finish. It's still pretty glowy, but I would say a little bit more towards natural on the scale of glowy to matte, I guess. But still, the Chanel is definitely more glowy. With that, it comes the territory that the Chanel clings a little bit lesser to dry patches on my skin, and the CoverGirl clings a little bit more to the dry patches on my skin. But it's nothing that a little bit of finger tapping here and there can't fix. So it didn't bother me at all in either of them. But if you were to be really picky about it, or if that's a real concern for you, it's the CoverGirl that clings a little bit more to the dry patch. Now, in terms of the finish, I do want to add though that for me the finish is not just about glowy or matte. Another thing that I take heavily into consideration is how it actually looks. What I mean by that is, does it really look like I have foundation on my skin, or does it look like nothing? And to me, I just prefer it looking like almost nothing on the skin, right? And that's really where I feel the CoverGirl actually edges out the Chanel water tint. I find, surprisingly enough, that the Chanel water tint looks a little bit more like foundation on my skin. And that honestly is the main reason I prefer the CoverGirl foundation. And this likely has to do with the fact that I have oily combination skin, and so something very glowy on my skin tends to look almost oily by the end of the day. And that's probably why the CoverGirl water tint works a little bit better for me. In terms of shades, in terms of the shades that I've been using, for Chanel, I use the medium shade, and that's a pretty good match for me, I would say. For CoverGirl, I actually ended up buying 2 shades because I was in the middle of both shades. And again, you don't need to buy 2 shades. You can quite easily fit into one of the shades. I just picked 2 because one, I really like the foundation, so I think I can use it up. And 2, because having 2 shade makes it more usable for me every day. So for CoverGirl, I bought the light medium 30 and medium 30. So light medium 30 is a touch too light for me, and medium 40 is a touch too dark. Mixed in, they're the perfect match for me. But if I had to pick one, I would likely go for light medium 30 for my skin tone, because it does match a little bit better. So just rounding up, I guess, overall, if I had to pick one or the other, definitely I would pick the CoverGirl. Because guess what? Here I bought 1 shade, it was $87. Here I bought 2 shades and it was still just $60 total, right? And it's giving me double the amount of foundation, and I still don't feel so bad. So definitely, if I had to pick, it would be CoverGirl. And of course, I also prefer the finish on CoverGirl, likely because I have oily combination skin, and I certainly see the Chanel Le Beige getting a little bit worse during the summertime, because right now it's winter, so my skin is not even that oily, right? Because it's dry outside. But come summer, and definitely I think it's only going to be the CoverGirl I reach for. Overall, I would suggest, if you have oily combination skin, go for the CoverGirl. Or if you're just wondering if this really is the type of foundation you would go for, and you've never really tried anything from this category, again, go for CoverGirl. You'll save yourself some money, and you'll figure out whether this is a category that you're even interested in. On the other hand, if you want to splurge and you want to treat yourself, maybe go for Chanel. Or for example, if you have dry skin, go for Chanel, right? This is still a really good foundation. I just prefer the CoverGirl because of my skin type and the way it wears on me. Before I go, I need to tell you which side is which. So this side is the CoverGirl foundation, and this side is the Chanel. Right? They look really similar, but it's just a matter of wear. And by the way, I've been wearing this for about 2 hours at this point. Hi there, Future Vidhi here. So just a quick check-in. I thought this would help you decide a little bit better which of the 2 to pick. So it's been about 5 hours since I put these on, and this side is Chanel and this side is CoverGirl. So if you ask me right now, the Chanel is starting to look a little bit more glowy than I would like, whereas the CoverGirl is still in a pretty good state. So I'd be interested to know what you think though in the comments. So I hope this was helpful, and if it was, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you've tried either of them in the comments and which one you like better. Always happy to know more about you guys and what your preferences are. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.